I want to say this right off the bat because I don't want nobody starting no rumors. I love the Hodge twins. I love the conservative twins, whatever y'all want to call them. They're my boys. I disagree with them on this one. And I'm going to go through methodically on the video that they made about an officer, which I think that they were incorrect. But everybody's entitled to their own opinions. And that's why I didn't feel the need to call them on the phone, tell them to take the video down or nothing, because I feel like they're entitled to their own opinion about what happened to Officer Diggs. So let's get to this real quick. So these are my dogs, man. I like these dudes. They cool. But I gotta correct them on this. When it comes to policing in America, I gotta correct it. All right. So y'all tune in, get your popcorn. Like I said, I'm not gonna be, a butthole to these guys because I like them. However, we need to talk about a few things that I think will be invaluable to have context to. All right. So I'm gonna let a few of y'all get in before I start it. I need to pull up this thing because I had a particular law that I wanted to make sure I pulled up while I was live. All right. Okay. Yeah. I think I could look right here and see it. Let's get the twins back up here. All right. All right, y'all in? Y'all ready? Y'all ready to go? Okay, so without me running my mouth too much, let's roll it. So I'm gonna go point by point, and as they make statements that I think are inaccurate related to this particular incident in policing, I'll make a comment on it and I'll stop it periodically. So let's go for it. Roll the film.
A cop just can't go up to anybody and just stop him and frisk him.
Yeah.
It's unconstitutional.
Right.
So I'm gonna read to you the actual law in the state of California.
Yeah.
Okay. So this particular area of this, I know y'all seen the video that I made about this, and y'all seen their video about this. Officer Diggs with this black kid at the trolley stop, use of force, officer got fired. This guy's a complete SJW. The Hodges twins brought up stop and frisk. Now, this incident had nothing to do with stop and frisk. It just had nothing to do with stop and frisk. This particular police officer and others were on a detail to saturate the area and go through and contact people at this particular location. Their job is to go up and make contact with people, whether there's people that are obviously committing crimes or doing something nefarious, or they're just making what we call consensual contacts, meaning that you have the right to walk up to anybody at any time and spark a conversation with them. And if they say they don't want to talk to you, they're free to walk away if they don't want to talk to you. However, if through a consensual contact you find that this person or whatever is involved in something nefarious, you have to take action. So I'm going to let them play it. They're going to talk about the Terry frisk, which is not relevant to this particular situation.
All right, it's called California Stop and Frisk Law. The law of stop and frisk, also known as Terry stops in California, consists of two basic rules.
Some Terry stops.
Okay.
Anyway, here another thing I need to read to y'all. This cop actually arrested a guy for assaulting a police officer. So I need to read to you what the law is in California when it comes to assault.
Yeah.
Loitering is when you sitting around somewhere.
Okay, assaulting a police officer, it breaks up into different categories. So assaulting a police officer, the Hodges twins in this video, they talked about assault. They used the penal code. I don't know if they know the penal code, but they looked it up. 240, the penal code, which is generic assault, which is assault on another person. Well, assault on a police officer is incredibly different than assault on a random person or a person that's not in the context of dealing with a peace officer. So the officer ultimately arrested this gentleman for assault on a police officer. And I'll tell you why. I'm going to let them play some other context that they said, and I'll speak on that.
Where in a public area, and you ain't got no purpose for being there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like if I go into 7-Eleven and I buy me some Twinkies and a Dr. Pepper, and I come outside and I'm waiting on the ride, I have a reason to be there. I was in that shopping, and I'm just waiting on a ride to pick me up.
Yeah, it's not considered loitering.
Yeah.
There's also in a lot of jurisdictions, there's some time constraints. You can't be deemed loitering if you've been out there 30 seconds or a couple minutes.
Yeah.
It's not deemed loitering.
Yeah.
Shut up. Let me do some talking. If you have an intended purpose of being somewhere, it's not considered loitering.
Yeah.
I cannot say that word. Loitering.
So with this situation, they're saying that the gentleman was loitering. I think it'd be easier if I play their words in the background, maybe, or pull up the clip, because if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you're completely confused. So they mentioned the word that the gentleman was loitering, and loitering is not applicable in this particular situation because the gentleman was at this stop. The officer initially believed he was smoking cigarettes, which made him walk up and contact him. He had no evidence that he was smoking cigarettes. The guy denied it. But then, while communicating with him, he did not have a trolley fare. So when you don't have a trolley fare, you're in violation of the code associated with having a trolley fare at this location. And once you do that, you're now detained and you're not free to leave. So let me go to another thing, because I really want to talk about the things that the Hodge twins said, because they have a big social media platform, and because they put the video out and they were completely wrong about a lot of stuff that needs to be corrected. So it's easier if I play the video and not just play their video of them talking, because I feel like that even watching this, if you don't know the context, you're going to be lost. So let me go to the video that I made a couple days ago about the officer in this particular situation. So I'm going to let it play the commercial, and then we're going to go to this. And I'm just going to address points, right? It doesn't matter if the Hodges twins say it or not. I'm just going to address a few points. Okay? Officer Diggs had a lawful reason to contact this young gentleman at this trolley stop, right? And I'm going to show y'all just real quick, and you can see on my video, so you guys can see kind of the context of what I'm talking about. It's this situation right here, right? I'll turn the volume down because I was able to play some of the clips so you guys can see. This officer had every right. That's funny, I got two heads. This officer had every right to contact him. They're doing a saturation patrol. He sees the guy, what appeared to be smoking, which made him go up to him, right? At that point, he's not detained. But once the officer communicates with him and realizes that he's not only suspicious of smoking a cigarette, but he does not have trolley fare. And if you're at a position and you don't have trolley fare, then you are detained. The officer has told him, and obviously I know this, the officer has communicated with him and told him, because they are over here talking, they end up here because the officer had told him he was detained, and he sat down right here. And the officer is telling him, you are detained, you don't have a trolley fare. He would have just got a ticket and probably would have been on his way. But yet and still, because Black Lives Matter and these young brothers don't know how to handle themselves, what does he do? He claims that, oh man, my buddies are here. I'm just here for a quick stop. I'm waiting on a ride. Well, you can wait on a ride anywhere else in this area. You shouldn't be waiting on a ride in front of a sign where it says that you're supposed to have a trolley fare if you're going to be on this property. Why are cops even on this property? Because it's a high crime area, and they have a tremendous problem with people violating the penal code. He's over there. He sees his friends. He make up in his mind that he just going to get up and leave just because he feel like it, after being told he was detained. Now, once he gets up, he sees his buddies there. Once he get up, he walk off. The cop has told him he's detained. He puts his hand out and stops him, because you have to address this. You can't just say, oh, well, okay. You don't feel like being here? Well, you can leave. The cop addresses him, grabs him, and says, stop. He hit the cop's hand, and you'll see it when my other self explains it. Come on, B, hurry up. You take too long. Boom. He slapped the cop's hand from on his shirt like this. He slapped the cop's hand off. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is assault on a police officer. According to the penal code of assault on a police officer, it does not have to be specific. It does not have to be injury or anything else. It's harmful, touching, or touching a police officer inappropriately or hitting a police officer, anything that's interfering with them physically from making an arrest on you. That's assault on a police officer. In the state of Arizona, if you spit on a police officer's uniform, you have assaulted that police officer. So methodically, the officer had every right to contact him. They weren't there just walking around just for the heck of it. They're on a specific patrol. They're contacting everybody that they can. He appeared to be smoking. The officer contacted him. The guy said, well, I wasn't smoking. There's no evidence of a cigarette. Although the officer observed him do that, he let it go. But the guy is not only appeared to be smoking, now he don't have a trolley fare, but he's been sitting there for a reasonable amount of time. It does not matter what you feel. It matters what the law say. Why can't people of color follow the law? And this is not every black person, but why come you end up in this situation and not other white people walking around? Because everybody else understands that if I don't have a trolley fare pass, I'm not going to sit on this property just because. I need to go sit across the street or go somewhere else because the sign says I shouldn't be here. Now, it don't matter if you're waiting on your friends, you kicking it with your buddies. None of that matters. You need to obey the laws that's on this property. Once she's get detained, he thinks, well, my friend's here, I'm just going to bounce. Well, it doesn't work like that. And when you slap a police officer's hand out the way, you have now assaulted a police officer. Now, the rest of the video, which I got tagged in this other video, he's cussing and threatening police officers and calling them the N-word and everything else. They take him to the station. The Hodge twins in their video, they had mentioned that they thought it was odd that the officer took him to the substation and then released him from the substation without taking him into jail. However, the reason that occurred is because of COVID-19, and they can't just take people into the substation. They have to do it in the Sally Port, which is the little parking area, and release them because of the COVID restraints. So it's not like he just let him out there to be a butthole. So these things, I think, needs to be addressed so people don't get confused. You cannot hit a police officer, no matter what. I don't care what you guys think or what you feel, how you feel. You can't hit a police officer. You can't spit on a police officer. You can't push a police officer while a police officer is telling you you're detained and you're not free to leave. You can't do that. Any rational person with a reasonable mindset would not act like this. They wouldn't act like this. I don't understand how anybody could think this is reasonable. They wouldn't act like this. And I want people to understand this because you don't get yourself caught up in something that you can't get out of. An officer has every right to approach you anywhere, anytime, any day. Just about anywhere. You know, on private property, in your house, no, they can't. Unless they have an exigent circumstance to breach your front door and come in your house. But they can contact you anywhere, anytime. It's called a consensual contact. Now, if you know your rights, if you don't want to talk to them and you're not detained, you can just walk away. However, you may want to listen to the officer so you're not walking away on a crime. They're accusing you of something and you just walk away. Well, you can't do that. You have to address the issue that the police officer is bringing up, whether you agree with it or not, whether you think it's lawful, legal, or not. You have to address it with the police officer. Now, this police officer has a body-worn camera, as we could tell. He has a body-worn camera, and his homeboys is video recording this from this angle right here. Also, my brothers from another mother, the Hodge twins, were referring to him saying that he lied on the case report because he didn't get assaulted. This guy is being extremely aggressive. How you get this close to a police officer's face, there's no explanation of this. You're not complying. You're not being friendly. The cop is telling you to sit down and you stand up with your feet bladed in his face. You are being belligerent. The cop articulates this in his case report, which I have on the other thing. So those are just a few things that I think needs to be clarified. You can't do this. The officer is not wrong. This guy's wrong. Just because you want to go now that your friends are here, don't mean you need to go. You need to sit down in this position here and listen to the police officer and listen to what he has to say. And if he gives you a ticket, take the ticket take it to court. He has a body-worn camera. Your homie's got the video. Go to court and deal with it there. It's that simple. It is really that simple. And if the cop is unlawfully detaining you, you can go to internal affairs. You can get you a lawyer. I'm sure there's a lawyer that'll do this pro bono. If they look at a video of somebody violating your constitutional rights, that's the easiest case on planet Earth, which the department will settle with you. You probably don't have to go to court. You sit there, you disagree with the man, let him do what he got to do, get his badge number, get the body-worn, you can go for your request, freedom of information, you can get the body-worn camera, and your boys got it on tape. You got all the evidence you need to present this in court. You can get access to a public defender. They will defend you for free. If it, in a criminal sense, they will defend you for free. Now, if you don't want them, you can defend yourself, because this is pretty cut and dry if you claim that the guy is doing something nefarious. It's that simple, ladies and gentlemen. It's that simple. You don't got to put your pride in the way. You ain't got to put nothing else in the way. You ain't got to know anti-police nothing. The problem is people are jumping the gun psychologically on what the cop is thinking when they don't know what the cop is thinking, when they don't know the laws and they don't know police tactics. They don't know why a police officer would be talking to a black man on a beautiful sunny day in La Mesa, California. Well, when you're a police officer, you do know. And of course, your boy B. Tatum I get the drop on these things. But don't let anybody tell you that this is acceptable and that this officer is wrong. Now, why did this officer get fired? Just for the sake of this conversation. Why did this officer get fired? This officer got fired because he's a black man. Not because he did anything wrong. Because him using force against this guy was deemed justified by the department. So all the force that he used against this guy was deemed justified. They fired him because they wanted to act like he didn't have no reason to contact him when it's not true. It's not true. You can have a consensual contact. You can contact people for whatever reason. And then you go on beyond that and you say, what if they ended up charging this officer? Not with assaulting him, not with illegally detaining him, not with violating his constitutional rights or anything like that. He didn't get in trouble for none of that stuff. He didn't get in trouble for a false arrest or none of that. He got in trouble because they said he falsified the case report. Now, explain to me how the claims of unlawfully detaining him, racially profiling him, when he pushed him down a couple times, assaulting him, and you telling me this officer didn't get charged with none of those crimes, but he got charged with falsifying a police report. Now, I said in my other video, I read the whole police report, they're full of crap. He had mentioned everything that you see on this video, he mentioned in his case report. Everything. I read it. And if it was off, I wasn't going to say nothing. I wasn't going to take this officer's side if it was off, because I'm not going to put my reputation on the line for some bull crap. But I read it. And this officer articulated everything that you see he articulated. That the guy took a bladed stance, got in his face. He had to put his hand, look at him, he in his face. He had to push him down. And then you have to say this, and I'm gonna pull this up. I mean, look, you can look at a couple angles. Look at this angle. Oh, I think I got him on the angle. He kind of posturing up on the cop. Then the cop got his hands behind his back now. Posturing up on the cop. Got his hands up. And this is one thing I think people don't understand about policing in America. This is a very dangerous position to be in as a police officer. You have to assert yourself. You cannot play nice with people and kiss their rear end and act like you're their nanny. When it's game time and you got a gun on your hip, you have to be a lot more aggressive than this guy is. Why is that, Mr. Tatum? Because if he think you soft, this dude will punch you in your jaw and drive off in that car. But when you have good officer presence, and we'll play the clip through. When you have good officer presence, and you're taking a strong, powerful stance, and you're looking the man in his eyes and you're letting him know, brother, this ain't your day. Keep him under control, because little Scrappy will hit you on the Control Alt Delete button, and then you out of there. And that ain't what they pay you to do. They pay you to stand up as an officer. And this officer, in my opinion, was being even cooler because he got a free hand. He could have socked him right in the face. In hindsight, you look at the guy and you say, well, he wasn't trying to fight. How do you know this man when you first meet him? He could be wanted for murder or something. You have no idea. He could be at the end of his rope because he just lost his job. You have no idea. And people want officers to come here and play patty cake and be nice to him and be like, oh, Mr. Jimmy, like, sorry, guy. I want to de-escalate this. It's like, no. I want y'all to understand. As you see, you de-escalate from here down. You don't start here and then go here and try to de-escalate. You start right here. When I was a police officer and we deal with people, you have to come across way more excited than they are. You do. I mean, depending on the situation. If they're all amped up and look like they're ready to swing on you, you got to go way up here. When you contact the person, you have to be very firm. How you doing, sir? I need you to stand up. I need you to turn around, put your hands behind your back. Very firm. Well, Mr. Jones, I'm not going to ask you again. I've already asked you. I'm telling you, put your hands behind your back. And the next step I'm going to have to make you. And I don't want to have to make you today. Whatever case it be. Oh, Mr. Jones, don't do it. It's on. Why? Because you give them too much time to think through their woe is me's and get all aggressive in their mind, then that's when they fight you. I hardly ever had people fight me. I took the fight out of them instantaneously. Strong presence. Grab them by the hand. Squeeze the hand. You squeeze their hand and let them know that I'm not playing. Put your hand behind your back. Once they feel that, they feel the presence of a real man, they really think twice. I'm not fighting this officer. And then you get a peaceful arrest, just like he did. Homeboy didn't want to fight him because he ran up against a real man as a police officer. And he went on by, he talked. He didn't fight. He got in the back of that car. He didn't fight. So I just think that, I just think that people need to understand that. People need to understand that. Because, policing in America is a very difficult job. But let me get into some more stuff while I'm talking here. I really wanted to make that video, but I just don't feel like it's hard to do it because I don't want conflict with the Hodges twins and everything, because it's not about them. It's really about the issue at hand. However, I have to address the video that they made because it was off. And I think it could be misleading to people who really want to, be involved.